This is freaking crazy. Whoa.
The storm pummeled the Las Vegas Strip, dumping more than 3 inches of rain in just 1 hour, flooding attractions like the High Roller Ferris wheel and closing a 20-mile stretch of the I-15, the only interstate into the city.
There are hundreds of cars up and down Interstate 15 that are just trapped. There are whole sections of the highway that are completely gone and buckled.
The buckled freeway stranded homeowners and left big rigs with no way out. The Moapa Valley, 50 miles north of Vegas, was hardest hit. Residents were forced to evacuate as flash floods consumed their ranch land and threatened their livestock. Meanwhile, 100 homes in Mesa, Arizona were evacuated as that state experienced record-breaking rainfall not seen since 1933. Arizona's governor declared a state of emergency, and rescue crews in Tucson struggled to save dozens of stranded motorists. 2 women died in the flooding, one trapped inside her car as it sank in 15 feet of water.
As the last days of summer wore down, wherever Americans gathered over this past holiday weekend, on beaches, on boats, blankets, front porches, if and when the conversation turned serious, it was about the sensation right about now that our world is falling apart.
Civil unrest in Pakistan. Riot police fire rubber bullets and tear gas at demonstrators in Islamabad, injuring dozens.
Terrifying video out of Libya this morning. A fighter jet slammed into a busy neighborhood yesterday in Tobruk near the Egyptian border. 3 people died, another 9 were hurt.
Amateur video shows alleged Russian battle tanks moving into southern Ukraine. In the last 24 hours, up to 1,000 Russian troops with heavy weapons moved into the area, according to U.S. military intelligence. Russia also moving in with armored vehicles and multiple rocket launchers. The Polish foreign minister calls it the most serious security crisis in Europe in decades.
And we turn overseas now to that stunning video out of Libya tonight. 3 years after Americans helped take down Muammar Gaddafi, the country is in chaos.
Empty ever since American diplomats evacuated at the end of July, as Libya descended even farther into chaos. Libya is now on the brink of becoming a failed state, with militant groups fighting each other for control as the government looks on helplessly.
Syria's civil war continues to spill over towards Israeli-held territory, with reports of President Assad's jets shelling rebel positions close to the occupied Golan Heights.
It is not just American citizens fighting alongside ISIS. British citizens are doing the same.
Hundreds of young men who have left the UK to join the brutal terrorist group ISIS. They see themselves as defenders of Islam in a war against non-believers. Their barbaric tactics have been glamorized on social media, a powerful recruitment tool that British authorities are now trying to crack down on. With every victory on the battlefield, ISIS's appeal grows, and many are concerned that it is only a matter of time before their jihad spreads beyond the Middle East.
This is a message to Canada and all the American Tawaghi. We are coming and we will destroy you. We are going for you, Barack Obama.
Ukraine and Russia, civil war in Syria, the threat of a brutal so-called caliphate across the Middle East. It seems like the world we're living in is slipping out of control.
The Ebola epidemic is spiraling upward. That's what the director of the Centers for Disease Control will tell Washington tomorrow.
It is the world's first Ebola epidemic, and it's spiraling out of control. It's bad now. It's going to get worse in the very near future. There is still a window of opportunity to tamp it down, but that window is closing. We really have to act now.
Health alert, more than 1,000 children sickened by a rare virus that starts off like the common cold, but sends some kids rushing to the hospital when they can't breathe. Here's that map of the 10 states hit so far by this mystery illness. Doctors say there will be more.
A potentially deadly mystery virus is spreading across the country.
Ebola outbreak that can't seem to be contained. Today, World Health officials said that the outbreak in West Africa is racing ahead of efforts to control it. The number of people infected with Ebola keeps growing.
In the capital, chaos and panic is leading to desperate measures. Unable to control Ebola's spread, last week the government quarantined an entire slum, home to 75,000 people. As the quarantine order sparked violent riots, residents were unable to leave. For the past 5 months, Ebola has ravaged Western Africa. 1,400 have been reported dead, 2,600 infected. The outbreak has struck several countries, the worst of it here in Liberia.
The worst outbreak in history has killed more than 1,500 people and infected thousands more across 4 countries.
This is incredible. You know, seeing a truck cart away 10 bodies of people who died from Ebola. I can't imagine what someone is thinking who has arrived there for treatment. You know, it's the gates of hell.
What we have to be very careful about, Neil, is that, and we must understand, is that ISIS is desperately trying to get the United States involved in a war that is advantageous to them. And the reason they want that is because there is an Al-Hama. Al-Hama means Armageddon, the end game, and many end time. ISIS, if not most, believe that end times is coming between 2016 and 2020.
This is beyond anything that we've seen, so we must prepare for everything.
This is an organization that has an apocalyptic end of days strategic vision, and which will eventually have to be defeated.
ISIS is everywhere according to the federal government, right? I mean, we're worried about them coming over to the United States. Texas is suggesting that ISIS can come through Mexico. And actually there's a couple of folks who are worried about whether or not ISIS will attack the electric grid, claiming that they may team up with drug lords down in Mexico. Can you just imagine what would happen if they blew up the East Coast grid?
And I don't want your Sharia law, and neither does anybody in Great Britain that has a brain.
You won't have no choice in fact, Sean. It's coming to a place near you. It's coming to a place near you.
So you're threatening to come and get me, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the Sharia will be implemented in the whole world.
Sharia is, so that's what you want. You want that, thank you, you answered my question. You want a worldwide Islamic caliphate.
Of course we do.
You want a worldwide Islamic caliphate.
One of Oklahoma's senators says the rise of ISIS and other violent terrorist groups is putting our country in a dangerous position. Fox 25's Phil Cross sat down with Senator Jim Inhofe, who says the public needs to know how real the threat is for a new attack on American soil.
We're in the most dangerous position we've ever been in as a nation.
Senator Jim Inhofe serves as the ranking Republican on the Senate Armed Services Committee and says our country has never been in such a risky position, especially from new terror groups like ISIS.
They're crazy out there, and they are rapidly developing a method of blowing up a major U.S. city, and people just can't believe that's happening. But yes, it's really significant what's happening.
These ISIS terrorists, they're the evil of all evil, am I right?
Oh, they are the antichrist of terrorist organizations.
They should know we will follow them to the gates of hell until they are brought to justice, because hell is where they will reside.
What is the thing that concerns you most about what you see in the world at the moment?
Well, I think it's the dangerous unpredictability of a world that is, I think, trying to define a new world order. We've never seen such diffusion of economic power. More people have more say, as it should be. We are seeing a new world order being built in the early 21st century. The United States of America has some responsibility to help lead that. We can't dictate that order. Nor can any country, but we can help shape it.
The leader of Iran's Islamic Revolution, Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Khamenei, has praised the Palestinian resistance movements for standing strong against the Israeli military during the recent 50-day war on Gaza. Ayatollah Khamenei added that Iran's Islamic Revolution was the most important element that challenged the world order. The leader said the world is today witnessing a new order. The leader also noted that Iran should become more powerful to play an effective role in the world's new order.
President Obama made it clear today the U.S. goal with the Sunni terrorist group known as ISIS is not to contain it, but to destroy it. He said so at the NATO summit in Wales. The president did not reveal a new strategy, but he did say that a coalition of 10 nations has agreed to take on ISIS militarily and financially.
There was unanimity over the last 2 days that ISIL poses a significant threat to NATO members.
10 countries, including the US, UK, France, Australia, and Turkey, will work to degrade ISIS with military force, political pressure, and by squeezing its finances.
President Obama wrapped up a 2-day NATO summit yesterday with a news conference. NATO announced plans to create a rapid response force based in Eastern Europe that could quickly mobilize if a NATO ally gets attacked.
You're dialing. You ever wonder who's listening? A new report says that cell towers, fake cell towers, are sort of cropping up out of nowhere across the country. And these things can intercept your cell phone data, calls, data, you name it.
18 of these rogue cell phone towers right here in the United States.
But who's making them? Whose rogue towers are they? I guess they're not legitimate. They're not a Sprint or Verizon tower.
You're exactly right. Right, that's an excellent question, and here's why. Because so far, nobody is laying claim to the ownership of these towers. Now, here's what's really interesting. The viewers will find this very interesting. These towers that's been identified so far, they've been very close to military installations right here in the United States.
It's a program under fire. Military leftovers going to local police departments.
And now the I-Team has found some of that equipment. We're talking about high-powered guns built for the battlefield are in Texas schools.
He started shooting everyone in the cafeteria.
Columbine, Sandy Hook, the images are forever burned into our minds. The threat, something police nationwide train for, with vehicles, guns, and armor built for the military. State records show 10 Texas school police departments received military surplus equipment through a Department of Defense program.
Being new to the city, I don't know where I can and where I can't go.
This man, who asked us not to identify him, was on his way into Kroger Saturday night when he saw a large crowd in the parking lot. He thought they may be part of a flash mob. Laughter as they knocked out a 17-year-old employee, kicking him in the head and throwing pumpkins on top of him. He says several employees were filming the incident, but one man, seen at the end of the video knocked out, stepped in to defend him and the teen.
But when we get through being up in arms about it, Ernie, it's the tip of the iceberg, man. This didn't just materialize overnight, and I guarantee you, just as Earl just referred to, it wasn't the first time it's happened in Memphis. It was the first time we now see it on such a large scale.
Worldwide, planet-wide, biblically speaking, two groups of people, the children of God, and the whole world is under the control of the evil one. That's 1 John 5:19. Ephesians 2 said, look, the evil one works in those who are disobedient. Now listen to this. On this ISIS thing, all who hate me love death. So you scratch your head and you say, well, why is it that when we're not even over there in the Middle East, why do they continue
to slaughter each other when we're not even on the premises. They can't blame us. We left Iraq. You say, what happened? In Egypt, in Syria, you say Libya. They just slaughter each other. You say, what? All who hate me love death. And he said they hated me, and it was predicted from the prophets. They hated me without reason. And then he told all of us, like they hated me, they will hate you also. They will hate you, he said, when that comes, and when they exclude you, when they insult you, and when they reject your name as evil because of me. Jesus said, listen, rejoice, be happy, because great is your reward in heaven. What people fail to understand is coughing up sin and confessing it and giving it to the only one who can remove it, for crying out loud. We're all sinners. America, here's a news flash. All of us have sinned, every last one.